The raw emotion of Nathan Lyon really came through in what he had to say. He didn't actually want to have like the proper feedback conversation with the selectors. He was too angry.
It's the first home test since 2012 where he hasn't played.
So all of those things probably should have added up to the fact that he should play. And ebb and flow. There were periods where the batters were trying to survive. They weren't playing a shot a minute. That last wicket stand between Joe Root and Jofra Archer, that was against bowlers who were tired.
England scoring runs. Joe Root finally scores that century that he's been waiting for in Australia. Mitchell Starc once again striking with the pink ball, and a selection decision that is now being debated around the game. Hello and welcome to the Day 1 review from the second Ashes Test. My name is Sam Jordan from 9 News, joined by Dan Bretig from The Age. Dan, there's some headlines out of this day, that's for sure. It has been a controversial day for some, starting with the omission of Nathan Lyon from Australia's playing 11. Feels like a lifetime ago. We go all the way back to the start of the day, but it's certainly been the big talking point. To start, what do you make of it?
Well, Nathan Lyon got here at 12 o'clock expecting to play. By 12:30 he wasn't playing, and he was seen pretty dolefully kicking a rugby ball around the outfield, and he subsequently admitted that he didn't actually want to have like the proper feedback conversation with the selectors. He was too angry, basically, to want to do that. And it's clearly rocked him that he didn't get the opportunity to play in this game, and I think it surprised a lot of people. And as the way that the day played out, I think it certainly helped England, and it helped Joe Root, I think.
Every run that England scored, it certainly put that decision under the spotlight even more. There was whispers around at the start of the week that Australia was considering going without Lyon, but it did feel like in the last couple of days when Steve Smith spoke just yesterday that he pointed towards Nathan's record with the pink ball and also his record here in Brisbane as well, that he was going to feature. It's the first home test since 2012 where he hasn't played. Are you surprised by this?
Extremely surprised, and also, I feel for Nathan Lyon in the sense that he's not just concerned about this in the sense that he's worried for his own spot. He's also concerned, and I've spoken to him about this year after he missed out on the Test match in Jamaica, about the fact that, what about the spinners that come after? What does this message send to young spinners around the country? The fact that pitches are getting grassier, but this pitch wasn't actually that lively. It was a good day one Gabba wicket that was going to reward pace at times, but it was also going to reward spin. And if you look at Nathan Lyon's record, he's been a wonderful spinner in Australia in all conditions.
Yep.
He's then got a better record than his overall record in Australia in Brisbane. He's also got a better record than his overall record with the pink ball. So all of those things probably should have added up to the fact that he should play. And if you think back to the last pink ball test here at the Gabba against the West Indies when Shamar Joseph won the game for the West Indies, Nathan Lyon bowled 50 overs in that game and took 5 wickets. That's a lot of the overs that the pace bowlers don't have to bowl, meaning that they're going to be that much fresher and that much better in terms of the spells that they bowl. And if you looked at Australia tonight, that last wicket stand between Joe Root and Jofra Archer, that was against bowlers who were tired, bowlers who, and a captain in Steve Smith who was running out of ideas. And that's without mentioning the over rate, which was abominable, 74 overs for the day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is something Australia's going to be staring down tomorrow if they cannot pick up that last wicket quickly. Just on Nathan Lyon, he did give an interview to one of the broadcast partners and he was frosty, to say the least. It certainly has caught plenty of attention online. Now, this is a team and a leadership group that allows players to speak freely and to speak their thoughts. We've seen that with Usman Khawaja's thoughts on the Perth pitch in the last few days as well, and him avoiding sanction there. Are you surprised that it was such an open expression of disagreement, perhaps from Nathan Lyon, and certainly disappointment with the decision?
Well, we spoke to George Bailey, the chairman of selectors, earlier in the day, and he made it clear that Nathan didn't agree with the decision. He also made it clear that that was okay as far as the selectors were concerned. They want players who want to play. That's a similar thing that Mitchell Starc actually said tonight after play, that everyone wants to play every game, and Mitchell Starc, of course, has been in those shoes himself a lot of times over the years where he hasn't played matches in a row or he's missed out in circumstances where he thought he should get an opportunity. It definitely the raw emotion of Nathan Lyon really came through in what he had to say, and that's something that is going to take a bit of time to, I guess, wash through the anger and build back up. The other thing that was very interesting that George Bailey did say was he essentially declared that Nathan Lyon will play in Adelaide, which was also, I suppose a departure from convention as far as selectors are concerned, actually declaring someone's going to play in the next match when the first one is not even, it was only a bit over an hour old when we spoke to him. So, there's a bit more to play out with Nathan Lyon, I think.
Yeah, that's right. It's certainly been a talking point today, that's for sure. And again, a talking point around the selection for Australia's teams as well. George Bailey's name has been mentioned plenty of times this summer already by the media. Let's talk about what happened out on the field as well. It's the old saying, Dan, you never judge a pitch until both sides have batted on it. But I think I'm going to give this day to England. They showed resilience, they showed fight, and they showed that they are going to be a threat in this Ashes series. I think after that 2-day test match, there are a lot of people fearing what could happen here with the pink ball. When they were 2 for 7, I think a lot of people were fearing what was going to happen here in Brisbane, but they showed resilience.
They really did, and it was after the absolutely hectic blink and you'll miss it Perth Test match in 2 days. This was a day of proper Test cricket.
Yep.
And quite interesting in terms of some of the debate about whether there should be pink ball Test cricket in the Ashes or whatever. This was a much more authentic day of Test cricket. There was ebb and flow. There were periods where the batters were trying to survive. They weren't playing a shot a minute. There were periods when the bowlers were trying to bowl dry, try to stop the scoring and try to get a wicket through pressure. And just that feeling of you're watching a Test match and you don't feel like every ball is a potential car crash, which was kind of how we felt in Perth.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that was good about it. And yes, England definitely, there was elements of Bazball today, but it was a lot smarter. And you look back to Zak Crawley's innings at the top; he was terrific. That's the kind of innings that they want from him, setting the agenda, very strong, driving down the ground, good on the pull shot. And to be able to play that innings after they'd lost 2 quick wickets very early on, when it could so easily have gone the same way as Perth, that's a credit to his determination and I guess the method that England have backed from him to work in Australia.
And not only to play that way after 2 quick wickets, to play that way after a pair in Perth as well. There's been a lot of talk in English media about Zak Crawley's place in the side. It feels like there's been a lot of talk about Zak Crawley's place in the side for the last few years as well. Last night was a really interesting moment, actually. I snuck back into the stadium to do our final couple of 9 news crosses for Perth 6 p.m. bulletin. England had wrapped up training by that point. The only person that was still in the stands was Zak Crawley. He was sitting 20, 25 rows back. He still had his pads on. I almost didn't see him, actually, when I walked back in. I got quite the fright and gave him a nod. But he sat there for about 20 minutes, just staring, taking in the stadium. And it felt like he was well aware of how big this innings was going to be today for him, and he rose to the occasion.
Yeah, absolutely right. And you also, when you watch England train, you see the care and the regard with which Zak Crawley's teammates view him. Was watching him bat in the nets a couple of days ago, and how much he was, players getting around him. Ben Stokes in the adjoining net giving him a bit of advice to start the session about how the practice pitches are playing, how the ball's reacting. Marcus Trescothick was giving him throwdowns, and really encouraging him whenever he was able to hit the ball sort of cleanly back towards the bowler. There's a lot of investment in Zak Crawley, and there's investment in Zak Crawley for days like this. Okay,
let's talk about Joe Root. 16 test matches in Australia. The one thing missing from his career has been a century in Australia. Gee, there's so much hype and speculation around this summer as well. Of course, the headlines and the back pages to start the series in Western Australia, but now he has done it. A centurion down under. It felt like an extraordinary moment.
It really was, and I love the moment after he reached the century and his eyes fixed towards the England team viewing area, and there was just a bit of a shrug of the shoulders and a little bit of a well, how about that? And Joe Root's a very humble player. You talk to him and you don't get the impression that he's England's greatest ever run scorer and the way that he carries himself. But he obviously had it playing on his mind that he hadn't done that. He had a good record in Australia, averaging nearly 36, which is nothing terrible. But there just hadn't been that big capstone innings. And today he had a touch of luck early on. Obviously there was that nick into the cordon that Steve Smith very nearly took an amazing catch. But, he has said that's some of the luck that you need. That's how he thought about his second innings dismissal in Perth, where he dragged one on. And, he took full advantage of that today. And I think, as well, he was helped by the fact that the Australian attack, other than Mitchell Starc, had a pretty samey rhythm, because it was a lot of right arm over the wicket pace at similar speeds. They went to bouncer plans and things like that fairly early, when there would still have been, movement on offer, I think, with the pink ball. And that gave Joe Root that little bit of extra, I think, wiggle room to get to three figures. And then obviously in that last half an hour or so, with Jofra Archer at the other end, really turned, I think, an even day into England's day.
Important runs, weren't they, at the end there, that's for sure. Hey, I was listening to Nasser Hussain before when he was down here speaking about Joe Root's century, and there was a comment that he made that actually stuck with me. He said that he's watched every one of Joe Root's centuries, whether it's been live in person or on the broadcast as well, and he's never felt nervous watching him bat. Today, he said he was beside himself with nerves, and it feels as though Joe Root scoring that century in Australia, just simply how much it's spoken about, has the potential to give the England team a real boost. It's certainly giving their supporters a big boost as well.
Well, if England are going to win this Ashes series, it probably can't just be a one-century Joe Root series. They're probably going to need him to make one or two more. But now he has the confidence to know that he can do it, because he has done it, and that's got to help. And equally, the Australian bowlers know that. We heard from Mitchell Starc tonight. He was talking about how the quality of the player that Joe Root is. It was not something that surprised him in terms of Joe Root getting to three figures. But it's always helpful mentally for a player, particularly when they're getting into their 30s. They've been around for a while, to be able to take the monkey off the back. That should mean good things for him for the remainder of the series.
That's right. Now, we will speak about the rest of Australia's bowlers, but we do need to touch on Mitchell Starc as well. 6 wickets today with the pink ball, an unbelievable pink ball record. But Dan, my favourite stat today is the fact that for a while there, he was closing in on career best figures for the third test in a row. He is just in remarkable form. For a man in his mid-30s, he truly is getting better with every test.
Well, I mentioned that Joe Root's humble. There's a lot of humility to Mitchell Starc. He was asked tonight about, passing Wasim Akram's tally of the most wickets ever in Test cricket by a left-arm fast bowler. He said in his mind, Wasim is still way above him as a bowler, and one of the greatest bowlers of all time. I think the way that he has developed his skills, the way that he has learned, particularly from Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood, about things like the wobble seam. He's added what he has said, some defensive qualities to his bowling, so that he can keep it tight, get wickets with pressure, as well as get wickets with great balls. It's a really good story about how a cricketer can evolve, and that's all without mentioning his supreme physical fitness and the ability to keep his body together when he's bowling at 145 k's an hour, which is pretty remarkable all on its own.
Yeah, he exemplifies resilience, that's for sure. Dan, we didn't actually even mention when we spoke about Nathan Lyon the fact that it was Michael Neser who came into the playing 11 as well, his first test match in 3 years, and he does so at his home ground. He took the new ball as well. What did you make of his performance today?
I thought he bowled pretty well. His first spell was a little bit shaky with the new ball. Gave a little bit too much width, a little bit too much variation in line and in length. But he tightened up, and obviously he got rid of Zak Crawley eventually when Crawley was approaching the outskirts of a century. I thought he was a good contributor. It sort of allowed the mind to wander a little bit to the prospect of, well, maybe they could have played Nathan Lyon instead of Brendan Doggett rather than Michael Neser. And another element of this is, of course, that Michael Neser is a very good lower order batter, and that Australia clearly missed someone like Pat Cummins in the Perth Test in terms of having a long tail in the first innings. So that's another element of it, and he will want to, I guess, continue to show that he's a very capable and seasoned senior player on his home ground at the Gabba, with the bat and the ball for the remainder of the game.
Well, Dan, they're turning the lights off here at the Gabba behind us. I think that is our cue to wrap things up. For a more in-depth analysis of all of the day's events and talking points, head to The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald websites. And as for the rest of you, well, we'll see you back here tomorrow to review day 2 of this second Ashes Test.